It is currently a delightful afternoon here on this Sunday of Canada's historic Victoria Day Speedfest weekend, and we are here for round number 7 of the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint Series here at one of Canada and North America. In fact, the globe's most daunting tracks, Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Hi, everybody. I'm Greg Creamer alongside with Calvin Fish. This is the sprint format, 50 minutes, one driver, no pit stops. Get it done. And at the sharp end of the grid here, Cal, we see a couple of things. One, a compacted points battle, and two, great diversity.
Well, we saw a great battle here yesterday, Greg, and it's really tightened up that championship. The top 4 drivers now only separated by a mere 6 points. 4 different manufacturers on the top 2 rows, 6 different manufacturers in the top 7. It really promises to be another great day of racing.
Yeah, it does indeed, and the field is ready. It's a good-sized field here, 17 cars ready to set sail. There's Spencer Pumpelly, who has just put together a run. And again, fast lap from yesterday's race determining the grid. That earned him his 4th pole with his 4th fast lap. He has been, in terms of speed, the man this year.
He is. What a great battle, a fascinating duel in terms of how those top 2 cars delivered their lap time yesterday. Spencer's got some ideas on how to reverse the tables today.
Ian James leading the points. The margin now just 4 over Gar Robinson. They had a couple of get-togethers in that race yesterday. They share row 2. That can be fun. Alan Brynjolfsson right there alongside Drew Stavely. That is a great battle in the points. In the AM category, Jarrett Andretti and Michael Cooper, the 2 McLarens together in that 4th row. And Andretti, the points leader in the AM category, having a strong season.
He is coming off a Pro-Am win yesterday in the Endurance Auto Warranty McLaren, and he's got a sprint to the airport tonight. He's competing in the Freedom 100 at Indianapolis next week, so he's got a stressful night ahead of him.
Absolutely he does, but what an opportunity for him to showcase himself in another form of racing. There's Frank Gannett alongside Sean Quinlan, the Ian Lacey G3 Racing Mustang against the Stephen Cameron Racing BMW. Tom Collingwood, a Canadian driver here in the BGB Motorsports Porsche. Nate Stacy, interesting story there we'll talk about in a minute. And Matt Fosnot also having an up-and-down weekend is how he's put it. Certainly been quick in that number 53 Murillo Racing entry. Also doing Sprint X. Been involved in some contact, but has always had great speed.
Yeah, he's had a Sprint X victory here yesterday, so he's in good form and a lot of work to do from the back of the pack.
And Nate Stacy, he's back in the race. He had a problem in the original qualifying, started at the very back of the field, fought his way up very, very smartly, and then felt something going wrong with the car. It turned out they had some damage to the subframe, and Multimatic, who's based nearby here, did a yeoman's job of getting that fixed and getting him back onto the grid.
And he's been fast all weekend long. He
has.
qualified 3rd and then was found to be a little bit too low on the ride out, and they believe that broken subframe was contributing to that issue in post-qualifying tech. Got a new piece on. He's hoping to have a kind of a start he did yesterday. He plowed through half the field very quickly, got the yellow, but then he was having problems after that, obviously.
You see that unique bodywork on the KTM Crossbow from the Marco Polo Motorsports racing team. And the Muellerized entry there as that roof comes down on top of Nikolai Elgahanian. And what a drive he put in yesterday. I mean, Spencer Pumpelly is probably one of the most talented drivers in this paddock. And Nikolai Elgahanian, and he had a great race.
Yeah, it was emotional. It was his first pro win, and it was just a special day to go up against who he said was one of his idols in terms of looking at GT racing, what he'd love to do, and finally be out there on the racetrack at the same time and getting the upper hand.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic. Look here at sections of this absolutely stunning racetrack, one of the most daunting on the globe, but just an absolute speed bowl. And that is a real challenge for these drivers. And in these GT4 cars, they certainly have some stick and some downforce, but it's nothing as sensitive as those GT3 cars. And that allows these cars here to race a bit closer. And that first race we saw in the sprint races here this weekend yesterday was just superb.
I think it's the best race of the year so far in all of the categories that we cover here. So if they can reproduce that, we're in for quite a show this afternoon.
All right, we are getting close to setting sail for this one. As the field being held, there you see Elgahanian off to the right side in that black crossbow. Coming in here, and Spencer, we talked about his 4th pole, 4 fast laps, but only 1 win, and as a result, he's sitting 3rd in the points. But He made up a chunk yesterday. Elganian's run yesterday, 11th in the points, now has him up into 7th. He too has had some issues this year, so there's a lot going on in the front row, but even more so in the second and third rows as the field being released now. 2 formation laps, and they haven't raced here. It's been, what, almost 36 hours since their other race. There's lots of rubber down from all kinds of different racing action that was unfolding on this track. They're going to have to be very wary of that.
They are. It's going to be a totally different racetrack in terms of the grip level. It's a lot warmer today. We just got off the Canadian NASCAR race, so lots going on there. A lot of adjustment for those race cars today.
All right, field out in the first of their formation laps. And we are all set for the 7th round of, again, the Pirelli GT4 America Sprint Championship. Ian James came in, though, to the weekend tied with this guy, Gar Robinson, in the points after yesterday. Ian now has a 4-point margin over Gar. They share that row. And like we said, they had a little argy-bargy in yesterday's race. We'll see how that plays out, borrowing your line. And then I'll tell you, Alan Brynjolfsson, you know, we've seen him show some great speed before. Kind of tailed off a little bit at a couple of the races, but is back on his game here in that bright yellow Volt lighting Porsche.
The Cayman is very quick, as you can see, with Spencer Pumpelly on the pole, and Alan Brynjolfsson has been quick here this weekend as well. Just needs a little bit of luck to get a result here today, but very impressive performance. But it's a true melting pot. That's what I love about GT4. As I said, 6 different manufacturers in the top 7 on the grid, and they all deliver their speed in different ways, and it's highlighted by the front row, as we saw in yesterday's race.
I was talking to Drew Stavely in yesterday's race. He had a great start, back a little bit more farther in the field than normally you would think he would qualify. He came up a bit, then settled and looked like he was starting to lose some speed, then charged at the end, and he said, yeah, he said, I realized that I was taking a lot out of the tires, and he said I wanted to have something left for late in the race just in case. So I kind of eased off just a little bit. He said, we got near the end, I realized I had some tires to fight with and go after it once again, and brought it home second in the AM category to Jarrett Andretti.
Yeah, they're gradually getting to grips. I spoke to Ian Lacey this morning, who operates that team, and he just said, you know, we're just learning more. We just need a little bit more time to really fine-tune. He said the car's really strong. We're very happy with the change from the Ginetta for this year. We just need a bit more time with it to really get that last ounce of performance.
Another interesting split here. Gar Robinson with a great qualifying effort in 4th. And again, that's fast laps in the race yesterday right there. His teammate Shane Lewis, though, way back in 9th. And the reason was Shane never had any clear track. He was always embroiled in a battle, and he just couldn't let that thing set sail.
He couldn't, and there's a strategy to that. If you're not having a great day, sometimes you need to back off and create a little bit of clean air in front of you so you can lay down that fast lap in race 1 to give you your grid for today.
The way that was going with him, if he would have backed off, he probably would have lost 3 spots.
Yeah, he had nowhere to back off.
They had that huge queue that was having a really strong battle. Here's a look at the number 12 of Drew Stavely. Once again, second in the AM points coming in. And ran second to this guy, Jarrett Andretti, who has just been really a revelation, I think, this year. We watched him in TCR last year in the Touring Car R category, and he did okay, but he really has found his form in this GT4 platform. Lights are out on the Acura NSX official safety and pace vehicle, and the field lining up under instruction from race control. They've always told them that when those lights go out and you get up into that part of the track, you better be side by side. There's no moving out of line to the outside or inside, and there's no dropping way back. And this field, Calvin, looks absolutely superbly aligned.
Well, they've had a lot of time to think about it. They ran here early on Saturday. It's late afternoon Sunday now, of course, so everyone's chomping at the bit to get going again.
Once again, 50 minutes, and we are about to go. Pumpelly, the yellow Porsche, on pole, leads them around the final turn. Elgany in the black crossbow. On the outside, green flag flies, and in the back, Shane Lewis went. And Cal, I don't know if he timed that right or maybe got a little over anxious.
Well, I think there was just big stack up, and he had to get out of line. Be curious to see how the stewards look at that one. But Elgany, and just like he did yesterday, takes off from the front. Surprised by that. It's a very lightweight car. Stavely down to the inside of Ian James as they plow through turn 2.
And look at that, side by side for Andretti around Brynjolfsson in that bright yellow Park Place Volt lighting car. Andretti in that orange nose blue roof. McLaren maybe a touch there as Stavely went right around the outside of both of them, Cal.
Yeah, incredible move there, but look at this. Michael Cooper now side by side with Brynjolfsson and clears him into turn 4 almost. Brynjolfsson just can't get the car tucked in. Almost contact there at high speed. Tyres not up to temp yet. Brynjolfsson a little bit over the curb there in Moss.
And for a minute, it looked like you might see Shane Lewis taking a run, but he realized that as Brynjolfsson hit that curb, he might bounce back, so he calmed that down. And really, in a lot of ways here, I have a feeling that Spencer Pumpelly really was hoping to at least lead to Moss Corner because of the speed that he has like that to be able to get around. That is exactly what he needed to have unfold.
Yeah, it's just a massive delta in straightaway speed between the Porsche and the Crossbow. We saw that on the opening lap yesterday after Nikolai had a brilliant start and lead the field through the first half of the lap. That's where he's super strong through that first sector. It's all about those high-speed sweeping turns that KTM Crossbow is immense through here.
Once again, if Spencer can hang on all the way to Moss, and look at this, Elgany already ready to try the outside look into turn 2. He's going for it, Cal. Oh, and he's wide, but he's carrying the speed.
He has got the grip. He can do that. Just amazing where he can put that car on the racetrack.
Unbelievable.
Spencer shared a secret where he had a plan about the start of this race, but that was all about getting the lead into turn 1, which he didn't get. So he can put that one away for another day.
Boy, and I'll tell you, it may be one thing, Cal, to be able to, for the car to be able to be put anywhere, but to have the bravado to put it there, and Elgany up to the task.
Well, it's very challenging. It needs high commitment around this racetrack, but you need the confidence in the race car. And Nikolai just said, this car with the setup they found this weekend is in its sweet spot. He can do anything with it other than outpower people down that straightaway.
Take another look at the start. Watch for Shane Lewis, second of those white, orange, and blue Camaros in that 4th row.
Big stack up there. I don't think he's attempting to pass. He just didn't want to run it in the back of Andretti.
And I think it was almost as he moved that flag came out. And then, of course, this move by Elgany just superb around the outside of 2, giving him the inside into 3.
Carl Robinson having a very strong start, but now Robinson has cleared Elgany, and here comes Ian James. This is what Spencer Pumpelly was talking about. He wanted to try and get some traffic in between he and Elgany, but Elgany comes back. Ian James. Does James give in the lane? Not quite. Very close there as they head down into turn 2. This is what Pumpelly needs.
Yep, exactly. And the thing is, you've got the big horsepower cars, and then you've got that crossbow, and that was one of the things Spencer said is if the big horsepower guys are close enough behind him coming out of 5, they might give me the buffer I need.
Well, maybe that's what Spencer did on the second lap. He had a plan in place for the first lap to try and stack Elgany up to some other traffic and get some cars between him. Maybe he was able to do that. So Carl Robinson up to second, chased by the championship leader, Ian James in the Panos.
This has got a huge impact in terms of points. I mean, right now you've got Spencer leading. He's 3rd, but only down a point. Gar Robinson 2nd, only down by 4. And then Ian James, and that is your front row right now. And then another great run, Jarrett Andretti in that McLaren. And look at them pulling out and going by Elgany with that power advantage. And Andretti, AM category driver right now. Look at this move right around the outside.
Well, a lot of these drivers haven't seen when Nikolai has that sort of advantage, so this will be surprising to them. But this is exactly the scenario that Spencer Pumpelly painted to us a couple of hours ago, Greg, about getting cars between he and Nikolai in that crossbow and maybe taking off a little bit.
Continue to be impressed. Well, let's watch here because Nikolai looks like he's up on it, willing to try something again here. Looks To the inside in 2, tucks back in, now lets it float to the outside, trying to get that run and get that exit. Andretti covers that nicely, Cal.
He does. Nikolai is enjoying this weekend. This car is so hooked up, he'll be frustrated that the leader is getting away from him, Spencer Pumpelly, but he has to be enjoying these battles.
Absolutely, absolutely. And Jarrett Andretti, again, what I was going to get to is this is his first year of competition at this level. You know, he drives sprint cars, so again, the fear factor and all of that is not an issue for him. But this type of car, GT4 racing, big downforce and the like, and he's running in front of a McLaren factory driver, Michael Cooper. Jarrett Andretti is showing some stuff this year.
He really has. I mean, he's been so impressive. As I mentioned yesterday, we saw a few bobbles early in the season, just as he's learned his racecraft and his speed around a road course. But since that time, every weekend, he just seems to get stronger and stronger. But up front, Gar Robinson is really close to Spencer Pumpelly, and I think he's got the bit between his teeth. Got really ruffled yesterday in the battle with Ian James. There was some argy-bargy. You said they traded some paint before and after the checkered flag.
Well, I'll tell you, Nikolai's just getting swallowed up, though, because when you get in traffic with that level of a horsepower deficit, this is exactly what happens. And from the front row, dropping all the way back right now to the 8th position, that is a real struggle now for him to try and figure out a way to overcome that. But he's certainly not going to give up. He knows that this car, if this stays green, this car is so good on its tires as well that at a certain point he might just be able to do exactly what he needs to do, like a late move down to the inside of Drew Stavely. The battle is on here in Canada. That was a great attempt by Elganian on Stavely. Couldn't quite make it work.
And Nate Stacy up into the top 10. He's already caught Brynjolfsson, so mega drive by Nate from the back of the grid once again with that suspension issue yesterday.
We know he has speed. The interesting thing is, you know, the Multimatic team working with Core Motorsport got it fixed, but they haven't had a morning warm-up, no opportunity like that. Look at Nate coming by.
Multimatic would have developed this car with a lot of laps around this racetrack, being their home base here in Toronto.
Yep.
So it should be well suited and should have a good notepad to work from.
Looked like Nate was going to try and move on Elganian. Couldn't quite get it done, so Elganian here, this is almost exactly the opposite of the race he had yesterday, unfortunately.
Well, if he was up front, he can run the lap time to lead this field, but once you get swamped like this, we saw this last year with Martin Barkey.
Yeah.
Where he'd have really good performances and suddenly get buried in the pack and there's nothing you can do. You just get freight trained.
Well, you're right. Gar is up on it here, working over Pumpelly as they come down through turn number 3. And, at the most recent rounds at VIR, these Porsche Caymans had some problems with rear tires, and I wonder if they're a little more conservative in their setup or if Spencer is just, driving as slow as he can and still lead. Let me put it that way.
Yeah, well, the first part of his plan has worked out. The crossbow is way back, but I'm not sure Spencer expected to see this train of cars so close to him after yesterday's performance, where he and Nikolai were really in the league of their own yesterday.
Yeah, they really were. And now he's being hounded by Gar Robinson, and young Gar Ryan seems to be on a mission.
Yes, he does, and he likes this track. Right now, we're with the team manager for Robinson Racing, Jimmy Frazier. Of course, Shane Lewis, the other car. But let's start with Gar. Had a win here last year, if memory serves, and there's something about this track that really suits him.
He hadn't driven it till last year, and after the first session, when he came in, he said, I have a favorite new track. So he really does enjoy the place. And we've had a good car from out of the trailer first day, so he's having fun.
And he was in the middle of some really intense fighting yesterday in race 1 with Ian and some other guys. It kind of came to a head at the very end of the race. What was the ultimate cause and result of that?
It's just the adrenaline, and it's so competitive, and they were having fun. They were all good with it later. He went and bought him a case of beer afterwards, so it's all good. We're all friends.
What do you think is the ultimate achievable result here today? Does he have enough pace to run down the Porsche?
We'll see. I'd like to think so, but I'm not sure. But if we can just hang on there, stay in front of James for points, we'd be happy, more than happy.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
You know, as we were going to the interview, Michael Cooper took a big lunge down into turn 10 on Andretti, and it didn't happen, and he had to dynamite the brakes a little bit, and it cost him some track time.
Yeah, well, that's the problem with that turn 10. I mean, if you don't make it stick, suddenly you almost come to a standstill on your exit speed.
And Pumpelly right now has been able to ease away just a little bit from Robinson. James certainly keeping him honest, and again, another tremendous run. The McLarens are in fairly good form here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Spencer Pumpelly in the Blue Racers Group, LaSalle Solutions, Pastime Porsche, finds himself with his biggest lead of the race, and it's not quite even half a second, but he's finally got a little breathing room over a very quick Gar Robinson in the multicolored Camaro sitting in second.
Yeah, he has, and it's the top three in the championship in reverse order. Spencer's third in the points, Gar is second, and Ian leads right now, so the intensity will be ramping up here, and this is going to be a great season of racing with these three drivers, three very different race cars, and how they go to battle. And you see Jarrett Andretti once again leading the Pro-Am class.
Here's kind of how Spencer got to the lead, just a horsepower move out of turn 5, gets by, and Robinson went with him. And that was a big, big moment in terms of the dynamic for Elganian in this race. He tried to make something happen back around the outside there, couldn't do it, and then he got caught in just that horsepower battle. The problem is you've got a car that's wicked quick in the corners, and you get stuck behind a car that's not as fast in the corners with more power coming out of the turn, you're sitting duck.
You really are. Sector 1, which is all the way from the start-finish stripe down through Moss Corner, is where Nikolai really excels, and then through this final sector, these last 3-4 corners. But down that middle sector, he really hurts.
Yeah, it's tough, no question. Pumpelly coming along, taking a look at the margins now to see, and it's about the same, just a tick under half a second. And Gar Robinson has set fast lap of the race a couple of laps ago when he ran down Pumpelly, and that seems to have stabilized just a little bit.
Stacy still making moves up to P7 from the very back of the grid. He has pace in that Mustang here today.
Taking a look at his best lap is a 125.4, and Robinson's fast lap a 125.2. Yeah, he has pace.
This is really getting tight up front. Spencer cannot get away from this group. And I think that Camaro may have a slight edge in speed up the straightaway if Gar can just get a really good shot off this corner. He may be thinking about putting the pressure on Spencer into turn 8.
Got a good run, and he is close enough that there might be a little bit of a draft help here as he's tucked in behind trying to find it. You know, Spencer's going to protect the inside, so he doesn't really. I think he realized maybe he can out-deep him into turn 8. Oh, and look at this move.
Big move. Talking to Ian James, he's very frustrated by the pain of speed. Once they kind of get halfway up the Andretti straightaway, it kind of plateaus and everyone else keeps accelerating. Nothing he could do there as Jarrett just swept by.
One thing I've been watching here, Jarrett, particularly around turn 3, and we have heard in a couple of laps from Pat Long that you kind of run the rim shot at the exit of 3. And Andretti has been right on the edge of that track, and we've seen some big incidents over there when it goes wrong.
Ooh, little slide there by Jarrett. Right in the middle as you crest the hill there. Got a little bit loose on him. Just deals with it, no problem.
Now watch this here. Watch his exit here. Well, that was about as circumspect as I've seen him do. But what I was getting at was when you're running sprint cars, you're running that rear tire right up against that wall frequently. I don't think that's anything that's of great concern to him.
Yeah, I don't think the cushion here in turn 3 is going to affect his confidence.
All right. See here, Ian, pretty torquey coming out of Moss, but as you said, then that speed plateaus, and we'll see if Cooper is able to do something along the lines of what Andretti did. Then that black dog speed shot.
Right there is where Ian runs out of speed right there, and he leaves the door open on the inside for Michael. I think he thought that he'd maybe not given enough of a gap, but Michael just took the opportunity to sweep through and take the position.
One thing we have seen this year, and I think across any and all categories that we have in the SRO Championship this year, in terms of decisive overtakes, Michael Cooper's your man.
He really is. That opening lap that he put together at Long Beach was just sensational. He's not afraid to get up on the wheel, take the risk. He's got a great feeling for the grip, so even if it's low grip, he's not afraid to walk that line.
We were talking to him a little bit earlier today. One of his comments was, he said, you know, with the balance of the performance parameters right now, he said, where we sit, he said, once everybody gets up to tire temperatures, it's difficult. And he said, I've just got to try and make stuff happen on cold tires, and he's got the gift to be able to do that.
Looking at the lap times, they're about a second off what they ran for fast laps here yesterday. So we talked about the track condition and the NASCAR rubber being down, certainly affecting the grip levels here this afternoon, and a little bit warmer as well.
Yeah,
a little bit greasier.
This is interesting because Cooper came in after yesterday's race, 4th into the points today, down only 1 to that 3rd spot. So right now, that is that pass on Ian James critical for a couple of reasons. One, it gets him around, gets him a few more points, but remember the pros are scored on the overall, and so Andretti is going to be stealing 3rd place points. Watch what happens here. There's that pass.
Yeah, 2 or 3 laps ago, Jarrett there just to the inside. Nothing he can do. You got to get so aggressive, and it gets quite dangerous when you try and make the car really wide at top speed there up the Mario Andretti straightaway.
Comes by this time. Spencer, the margin up to 0.6, so just a couple of tenths more of room here.
Talked about Jarrett's run to the airport tonight. He's trying to catch an 8:55 flight to Indianapolis. He's supposed to be practicing in that Indy Lights car tomorrow morning. Have the golf cart waiting for him, take him to the front gate, then a car service on the expressway, the 407, then a concierge service, and if all goes well, he'll be sitting on a plane at 9 p.m. and heading to Indy.
He's excited about that. Boy, the name Andretti at Indy and anything is nice stuff. Watching this field cycle through. That's down into turn 4 once again. There's not much between this lead group, and Stacy has now cleared El Gahanian right there in that red Mustang, and coming up onto the back of Shane Lewis. Watching the background, there's that all red Core Motorsport Mustang, and he is right there on Shane Lewis. So Stacy definitely on the prowl. Then El Gahanian sitting back there in the 8th spot, and just losing a little bit more ground here down the straight. Andretti takes a look to the inside of Robinson in 8, can't quite get it done, but showing his intent to keep moving up. Mr. Andretti, mighty racy right now.
He really is. Had a little slip there coming off the final corner. Michael Cooper thought about having a run, but he's back on the gas. He really has done a nice job, and I'm actually surprised that the McLaren was able to get the draft and attack Gar Robinson into that brake zone for turn 8. He's not intimidated whatsoever, Jarrett Andretti, about the more experienced road racers around him.
I'll tell you, that McLaren, you look at it, clearly it's quite slippery, and the Camaro in front has a bit bigger bodywork and greenhouse to it, so it probably punches a nice hole in the air, and Andretti's able to make use of it. What's surprising me is how hard Andretti's running right now, when the guy that's next to him in the points at this stage, he's well clear of him by 3 or 4 cars.
He's an Andretti. He wants to race. He wants to grab every position he can. He wants the overall win. I know the class victories are important for the championship, but he'd love to beat the best in the business in front of him.
And here comes Stacy. Tried to run on Lewis. Now, if he can get to his outside here, right there, you see that the Camaro, about midway down that straight, it's got some pretty good speed. And look at Andretti right around the outside of Gar Robinson into turn 8. Fabulous move by Andretti.
It really was. And does he have enough pace to chase down the leader?
He certainly has time.
Well, these McLarens, both of them look really strong here. Yes, probably their strongest performance of the year. Michael Cooper looking to the inside, gets down alongside Gar Robinson. This may cost him, 3 and James to get a run.
Yeah, he does. Here he comes. He's got to go to the outside, though. And Cooper drifts over and shuts that opportunity down.
It's so tough, that run between White's corner, the final corner, and turn 1, to really just get far enough alongside, even if someone has a little bobble there coming on the front straightaway. Gar Robinson trying to regroup here and put the pressure back on Andretti for that 2nd position.
And if Gar stays this close coming out of Moss, it'll be interesting to see now Andretti without the draft, just how he is in terms of that straight line speed. Andretti really protecting shallow entry into 5.
Doesn't want to open up the door there, and if you do, it's really difficult to make that move without creating contact with the driver on the outside. Stacy right on the tail now of Shane Lewis for the 5th position in the backdrop there.
Look at this, Cooper getting a big run now. Pops to the outside of Robinson. Same move. He watched Andretti do it and thought, well, I've got the same kind of car here, but Gar takes it a little bit deeper this time, and Cooper has to give it up.
Fabulous racing here.
Yeah, this is great stuff.
Look at Stacy flying onto that front straightaway. Shane Lewis is going to feel the heat from behind here very soon.
Down through turn 1. Looking at some lap times here. Yeah, Stacy really quick, but the fastest guy in that last lap, not a big surprise, was Andretti. Only driver in that lead group into the 25s at a 25.9. He really is showing some speed here. And James hounding Cooper through turn 3, and then behind them it's Lewis, Stacy from dead last on the field, and then Elganian. We've got battles unfolding all over this Canadian Tire Motorsports Park facility. Fabulous battle right here for the 4th spot. That black McLaren from Black Dog Speed Shop, the number 10 of Cooper, feeling the heat from Ian James after he was able to get through on Ian. And then behind him, you see Nate Stacy really going after Gar Robinson's teammate, Shane Lewis. As we said, lots of action everywhere around this track, but let's get down to the pits and check in there.
Actually, a pretty good vantage point here along the front straightaway. Ray Sorensen is the team manager for Black Dog Speed Shop. First of all, what are you doing here?
I just like to watch this close to the pit so I can just come out here and watch and get a little bit of vantage point from what's going on. And as you can see, it's we made some changes last night to both cars, and it seems like it's working pretty good today. We'll just have to see if we can take it to the end.
Yeah, Michael's really been on a tear. He's putting a lot of pressure on the Camaro in front of him. Do you think he can get by?
Well, I hope so. We'll just have to see how everybody's tires go. And like I say, hopefully we made the right changes, but got to run the whole 50 minutes.
Having worked on both of them, is the McLaren easier on the tires than the Camaro?
I'd say it's about even. You know, the Camaro has its own performance advantages, and so does the McLaren, so it's kind of a wash. The BOP seems to be pretty even with those cars at the moment.
Good luck the rest of the way.
Thanks very much.
I'll tell you, Ray Sorensen, he is top tier in what he does. A long history with Black Dog, and a big change in car for them, and they have been clearly right up to it. So here's a couple of the great overtakes here. Andretti's outside move around Robinson.
Yeah, that was sweet. It's really demonstrating great straightaway speed with that McLaren here today. Then Cooper looks down to the inside, can't quite make it stick, and that allows Ian James to get a bit of a run down through turn 1, but he can't quite make the move.
Back to it here, and we've been watching Andretti last time by about 0.6 of a second off of the back of Pumpelly, and that I think yeah, about the same. It was a 0.68. It's now 0.70. Then Robinson still holds that fast lap. Cal, then Cooper and James complete the top 5. Then that great battle for 6 between Lewis and Stacy.
So tight, the top 9 cars trading laps within 3 or 4 tenths of one another. It's a really competitive field here. Great battles throughout. Here comes Elganian trying to get that inside move done on Nate Stacy. Clears him. That takes the pressure off Shane Lewis from Stacy. But certainly Lewis is going to out-accelerate that crossbow up the straightaway.
And Stacy took a look there, but you're not going to get by Elganian in a corner. You're pretty much clear on that. So he's got his work to do here. And Elganian, he just has to flow speed. And boy, that'll help to be that close behind a car that's that much bigger than he is to get some sort of a tow. But I fear that Stacy in that Mustang still is going to do that.
That didn't take long, did it?
And you almost wonder if the solution to this is to, assuming that the crossbow, as most cars are in this category, are restricted in terms of power output at some level, if there might be better to put a bit more weight on it and open up the restrictor a bit, slow him down a smidge in the corner, as Elganian's going to make that move once again.
Just having fun.
Yeah, he is. He is. That's all there is to it.
Just amazing the battle that he and Pumpelly put together, similar to this one, but that was for the lead yesterday.
Here's Elganian up and over that little rise, dropping down into 2. Opening up. This is what he needs here, is to try and build enough of a margin that as he comes out of Moss. Oh! Big rim shot back into that crossbow, swinging around. He is going for everything he can right now.
Yeah, he really is. He's putting it all on the line, and obviously his position compared to yesterday is not what he expected, coming from the front row on a victory yesterday, but he'll be enjoying this battle. And certainly everyone is appreciating what that crossbow has in terms of its handling.
He's putting on a show for sure, even though he's back in the order just a little bit. And I'll tell you, this group at the sharp end of it here, the top 5, still not much between them. Then that little gap from James and that red, white, and blue Panos Avezzano GT right there. Back to Lewis. It's, you know, it's a margin of just over a second. And then there's Elganian. Then you've got Stacy.
Racetrack, Greg, has certainly got a lot slower. Their fast laps from yesterday are about a second off, and then now a further second off that. So this racetrack is really greasy. And the drivers are really hanging on now to just try and maintain the balance. Nate Stacy had that big charge from the back of the grid, and he's faded back here a little bit on this lap. I'm not sure it's just a one-off or whether that's just the condition and balance of his race car.
Yeah, we're just past the halfway point now, and you would think now that Elganian's crossbow is going to get relative to all the other cars that are heavier and thus a little harder on tires. That thing's going to come alive even more, but that doesn't really affect the horsepower. And that's the issue he's going to have to deal with.
See there, Spencer, a little bit wide through turn 4. That McLaren is still tucking its nose nicely in terms of keeping the line that Jarrett's asking it to do.
Then Cooper sitting in 4th, that black McLaren. James in 5th. Looking at this little battle right here, and Cooper. There's what you were talking about, isn't it, Cal? At that certain point, Ian said we just kind of stop accelerating as Andretti now, whatever deficit he had to Spencer Pumpelly is gone. He even showed the nose into turn 8.
Yeah, and looking at the trap speed there, Greg, had 8K about 5 miles an hour faster than Pumpelly by picking up the draft.
This train just coming by here. Spencer trying to flow that speed down into turn 1. It opens that margin up again a little bit, Cal.
He does. He's such a cool customer. The polished pro just really delivers every time he's behind the wheel.
He opens that margin up. Conversely, here comes Robinson taking a look at Andretti. This is just a big accordion effect here up in this front group of 5. Great action here in Canada, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. This is just some fascinating race. That's the first time we've seen Andretti actually float just that little margin wide down into 4, wasn't it?
It is. And that immediately cost him a car length or 2 on Spencer Pumpelly. That allows Gar to close in on him a little bit. Just really impressed with the McLaren straightaway speed here today.
Absolutely.
I'm not sure if they've trimmed the car out a little bit more, but the case may be, they've certainly got it.
Like I said, you might expect to see some of that kind of speed tucked into a draft, but Andretti's showing it when he's on his own too, isn't he?
He was 7K up on that lap, 8K when he was in the draft, so definitely the McLaren has a nice edge on top speed.
And the car is snaking up and around turn 10. Robinson just trying to figure out any way to get back around Jarrett Andretti. Coming up on the 21-minute mark of the 7th round of the championship. Down through 2. Car really doing a nice job, and Jimmy Frazier, as he talked about, was car got out of the car after his first few laps around this place last year. and said, I may have a new favorite track, and it's shown. It really is working. He didn't get that qualifying he wanted in that first qualifying session, but in the race he was on it and has been very impressive in this race again.
He really has, and I love to hear that a driver said he's got a new favorite racetrack when you come to here, because this is all about separating the men from the boys. You need total commitment, and if a driver says they love it, that's really got true meaning and what they're all about.
Absolutely. And look at this now. Cooper, a little earlier than he has in the past, is able to get to the outside of Robinson. Looked like Robinson maybe didn't get a great exit out of Moss, and Cooper's going to clear him. Robinson trying to swing to the outside so he doesn't lose more ground and get pinched in, but I wonder if that all started with a little bobble in Moss.
Yeah, will certainly contribute to it, but here today, those McLarens just seem to have that little edge, and if they're close enough, they're just able to clear that car before you break and turn into turn 8, which is the critical factor.
One of the things we've seen, I noticed today, was a lot of McLaren corporate shirts wandering around down there, so
some politicking going on, I'm sure.
Exactly. And so Cooper now, this is impressive. Pumpelly in the Porsche leads, McLaren second and third, then Robinson in the Camaro right there in fourth, and Ian James in the red, white, and blue Panos in fifth.
Well, remember the action that we saw between these two cars yesterday, and it all kind of erupted down here in Moss Corner, where Ian James was very close to Gar Robinson. Gave him a little love tap right about there. Didn't loosen him up too much, but at that point, talking to Gar after the race, he said from that point on it was warfare.
Yeah, exactly.
Including a little rub after the checkered flag.
And it was interesting, Shane Lewis, when I was talking to him, said, I need to clarify with the officials, is a little tap like that acceptable? Because, you know, all of us would like to use it. And I went, well, I think that's a fair question to ask. Absolutely. And it looks like Stacy in that charge up through the field might have just run those Pirelli P0s a little bit hard, as he has faded back a little bit, and Elgania now has a lock hold on 7th. Spencer Pumpelly, the Blue Racers Group, Adobe Road Winery, the Racing Series wines. Porsche finds himself in the lead, and it's just amazing how this accordions. By the end of the straight, Andretti was right on his tail, and then Spencer out. Oh, and look at this move. Is James trying the outside on Robinson, and Elganian trying the outside on Lewis. And Elganian makes it work, and now nice move by James, gets down inside Robinson in turn 3.
Gives him that outside lane now, importantly. Typically, you'll wash out there and take the line away. Great respect there by Ian James.
Yes, absolutely. Here, up through Moss. Ian needs to get a great run out of there. Boy, did he. That thing just hunkered down and went.
Yeah, he's intent. He knows that's the championship lead on the line there with Gar Robinson. He's got a healthy lead there, about 3 car lengths, but this is exactly the point in the straightaway where that Camaro is going to come back at him.
All right, and as we watch this fascinating race, let's get back down to Ryan in pit lane with news.
Well, we're keeping an eye as well on the AM class, and our leader is Drew Stavely from Ian Lacey Racing. Zach Porter is the engineer for the team, and Drew's put on a really good show coming from the back, racing his way up to the front. What has he said to you guys about the race car?
The race car's been pretty good. You know, we had the opportunity to work earlier in this weekend with, hold on just a sec, sounds like something's going on with the other car here.
Yeah, we got to let Zach go. Sounds like they're getting an update, so let's go back to the booth.
Yeah, it looks as though we didn't see the entire thing, but it looks like Elganian may have looked to the inside of Lewis into turn 10, and Lewis may not have seen him coming.
Well, that's the problem when you're running with that crossbow. You can't believe the type of moves that Mccauley can try to put on you, and maybe Shane just closed the door at the last moment, and there was contact there and spun him around, which is a shame.
Yeah, it truly is. It looks like Elganian lost a lot of ground in that exchange as well. There's a look at Drew Stavely, who they were talking about here, and there is Elganian all by himself. Here it is, Cal.
He's a little bit late on that one, and I think Shane just didn't expect it. Probably would have given him the lane if he recognized he was there. Mccauley came from a long way back, so Stewards may make the call on that one. I'd say it's 60% likely.
Yeah, exactly. That's one of those, you've got to be right up alongside because, you know, at that turn-in point, the driver's eyes are through the corner and up the track, and you need to really be presented inside, don't you?
And once you start to go for it, if you try and get out of that situation, it makes it worse. That means you can clip them right in the very tail of the car and turn them around.
Oh, James there. Let's watch this here. This is the move. Cooper to the outside and then just came across and shut the door, and that put him up into that third spot. But Ian James, now look at this. This is that move that he put on.
Oh, slide there by Gar in the gray.
Yep, nice save.
That made it easy. Ian could give him the lane and he couldn't take advantage of it.
It looked to me right as we went to that replay sequence that Ian James took a little bit of a look, if not a run, at Cooper. And I think right now, James has said that the way that that car is set up and just by its nature, it tends to get better the deeper into the run they go.
Yeah, it really does. It's well hooked up. He's got a great crew, great engineer there with Stefan Pfeiffer. They perform magic with this car, but there's nothing he can do from this point forward till they get to turn 8. He's just a sitting duck, and got to be frustrating to see the rest of those cars kind of stretch it a little bit.
And there you see they went with the 40%. There was no further action on that incident.
It's good to see. Let the boys go racing.
Yeah, absolutely. And Andretti is doing just that, isn't he? Got a nice run out of 10 here. He's got a head of steam built up. But right here, from turn in, that Porsche really clicks through turn 1, doesn't it?
It does, but Jarrett Andretti is menacing. He may have something for the leader here.
All right, as Ian James once again looking racy on Michael Cooper. Let's get back down to Ryan.
I did check in with the Robinson Racing guys about that incident. They really didn't have a whole lot of information, but Shane has come on the radio and said something feels a bit crooked. He was a bit slower on that last lap, they said as well. So possible troubles developing for Shane Lewis and the Robinson Racing guys.
All right, thanks very much. And yet, was it the contact with Elganian? Didn't look like he got into anything on the outside of the turn, at least not hard. But it's all angles. We've talked about it before, and you just get touched the right way. Even if it's a light touch, it can change something in the toe out on these cars.
He obviously got brushed there on the right-hand side, so you'd think through the left-handers like turn 4 he's going through right now may be affected if that is the case of the contact creating an issue.
There's a look at Nate Stacy, who has come from the very back of the field and fought his way up. Now sits in the 6th spot. And he got back around Elganian after that incident. Elganian lost all of his momentum coming out of turn 10. And Stacy was able to swing out and go right by him at that stage.
Jarrett Andretti, he is focused.
Sure is.
He wants that lead. He's not afraid to run up front. He's just not intimidated by anything, it seems. We saw him lead at VIR comfortably, hitting his marks, not worried by the pressure from behind.
Boy, Ian's got another little bit of a run. Does he try and get down to the inside? Cooper got out of 2 just strong enough.
Ian's car looks so strong, just really late on the brakes. Maintains the line, can really roll some speed through these apexes.
He's not quite close enough to try a big move into 5. Cooper, not a driver who's prone to mistakes and overrunning a corner, so Ian's got his work cut out for him.
He does. He's tucked right there. He's probably got enough of a gap on Robinson to not be under pressure from behind as they get to the brake zone.
And down the straight, Cooper able to find that little bit of room in this battle for third between Cooper and the black McLaren and James in the red, white, and blue Panos Avezzano GT. I'll tell you, this is just becoming a really compelling battle here. Andretti's attacking Pumpelly, James on Cooper.
Robinson there got really wide through turn 9, tried to ask the car for a little bit more and had to increase the radius through the corner. That's gapped him back a little bit further from Ian James. This is good news for Ian James. That'll take the pressure off as he continues to hound Michael Cooper for that 3rd position on the road.
Well, how about this for a thought here? Nate Stacy just turned a 125.8 to Robinson's 126.6. So Nate Stacy's turned the wick up once again. So Robinson's day could get a bit more interesting once again.
Yeah, we were wondering about Nate Stacy, whether the charge through the field had taken a little bit of the sweetness out of his tires, but it doesn't seem to be the case. Still running really good laps in the 25 range.
Is that just me, or did Spencer actually sort of throw that car into turn 5 with a little bit of a slide?
Maybe he's just trying to help it rotate, maybe picking up a little bit of understeer. Jarrett Andretti is close.
Yes, he
is. He is really close. He's going to be all over that Porsche by the time they get to the brakes.
Spencer will know it. Doesn't give him much to the inside. Jarrett goes to the outside. Oh, a little bobble on the brakes by Spencer, and Jarrett goes through. Now Spencer comes right back after him. Can Jarrett stay there, have the inside? No, he can't.
He couldn't quite get the grip. He threw it to the outside. Really brave move, and he just got in the gray a little bit and had to wait on the throttle. That allowed Spencer to get back the position. But certainly his intention is clear. He's not worried about a class win. He wants to win overall here today.
He sure does, but that little moment when he was outside and had to give it up allowed Cooper and James to get closer to him than they've been at any point in the last few laps. Problem is, they get into their own little battle, and Andretti eases away again.
I think for Spencer Pumpelly, I think if he felt he could get Nikolai Alganian back in the pack, this will be a cruise to victory. Well, it's definitely anything but that. He's using every ounce of racecraft to maintain that lead.
Well, and look at how quickly Stacy has run down Robinson, again throwing down a 25.8 to Robinson's 26.2.
Well, we said we had to match the fireworks of yesterday. I tell you what, this is not. Oh, Andretti a little bit wide there through Mars, tried to roll some speed, couldn't get the grip. Just starting to ask a bit too much of the car. He's got to be careful.
And Stacy got a honking run out of turn 5, out of Moss. He is all over the back of Robinson. Look to the inside there for a minute. Staying in that draft, trying to figure out if there's anything he can do here. Is he going to look to the inside? We'll see him right there. He's down to the inside, but he couldn't get enough down to the inside and lets Robinson slide back in front.
Whew.
Yeah.
What a battle.
This is fabulous.
About the blanket coverage.
The proverbial blanket at that.
2 seconds between the top 5.
Problem for Jason Bell, who is having his best weekend of the season. Had a great run yesterday, Jason did, and that Global Motorsports Group came in with a 4th in the AM class and a 5th in the overall run order. Really solid run here.
And James is starting to look like Nikolai Alganian in terms of where he's placing that Panos on the racetrack. He's got grip to spare. He's trying to make some moves.
Should say Bell 4th in AM and 5th in qualifying yesterday, which is a good run. Stacy trying to cut back and figure, can he get around the outside here down into 4? What an incredible battle in multiple positions, essentially. Pumpelly leads, and this is the biggest margin he's had in the last couple of laps over Andretti.
Stacy.
Yes, he gets another good run, Cal, out of Moss.
Huge run out of Moss. Was almost alongside Gar Robinson before they got to the power curve here up the straightaway. He's not picking up the draft. They're side by side. Who's going to be the bravest as they hit the brakes?
Nate going for it. Sweeps the outside. Keep it planted here, and he does. What a move. Nate Stacy from last to 5th with 7 minutes remaining in this race.
Yeah, when he first appeared on our scene, Greg, he was really displaying great car control. He's really tidied things up under the guidance of Dean Martin, but boy, oh boy, he needed it a little bit there through turn 9. Great move.
And again, you see up front, Ian James taking a look on Cooper as they head down into turn 2. Brian, the crew must be ecstatic with this action.
Yeah, I think so. Stefan Pfeiffer overseeing the operation. Good battle right now going on for 3rd. Does Ian have what it takes?
Well, right now we're in 4th, and it's going to be very hard. The speed differences are so different on different sections of the track. So overtaking on the straight is easy. We're about 15 Ks down. So the other ones have a little bit of an advantage there. We're good in the turns, so let's see what we can do now at the end.
If he was going to make a pass, where on the track do you think he has the advantage?
It has to be at the bottom of the horseshoe. That's where it has to happen.
All right, we'll let you watch the rest of this race just like we will.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Down into Moss is what he's talking about there.
Look at Cooper. He's really close to Andretti.
Yes, he is.
That's what Stefan 5 is talking about, that speed deficit right there. You've seen the McLaren just take off from him.
Cooper looks outside, but really wasn't close enough. He knew that.
Yeah, it really helps Spencer Pumpelly there with Jarrett Andretti feeling the heat from behind.
5.5 minutes to go, and Stacy, with the speed he's been showing here, will he be able to get to the back of James? I think he might.
4/10 quicker on that lap, so he's going to have the pace to catch this little battle. What a great drive in the back of the pack. James side by side with Cooper as they head down towards turn 2. Can he make it stick around the outside? It's going to be tough to do. Cooper just gives him enough room. Ian James totally committed there.
Now, can he just stuff it up the inside into 3? He does. Cooper runs a little wide there, Cal.
Just fantastic racing. Total commitment that you need to get the lap time around this amazing race circuit.
So James on the charge now, but running out of time. 4 minutes, 45 seconds. And he's going to lose ground with that horsepower deficit that Stefan Pfeiffer was talking about here. But then he's got work to do when he gets into the parts of the track where that Panos works. Let's take another look at this, Cal. This was brilliant.
It really was. Just great respect by the two drivers, giving each other just enough racing room. Michael takes him in there. Ian kind of gets to his right flank there. Michael doesn't wash out and use all of the road, and Ian is just totally committed. Now he's in the dirty part of the racetrack. He's got to hit the brakes a little bit later. You wonder about the grip level, but it is there. That Panos Avezzano is hooked up.
Oh boy, and the pressure from James now has driven Andretti ever closer again to the back of Pumpelly, as it's almost exactly 4 minutes at the line for this one. That's what, about 3 more laps. And Stacy is coming after Cooper. Oh, and James again.
Andretti's in trouble. He's up and over the curb. He's searching for grip. Oh, he's sideways there. Andretti's car has gone away from him a little bit. He's hanging on.
So will James, that car looks extremely planted, Cal, through 4, be able to muster some magic down into turn 5.
The Avezzano, I feel, is the strongest car handling-wise right now, but overall, I think Stacy may have the best car in terms of straightaway speed and handling. Got a lot of work to do with the time not being on his side.
I'll tell you, that Avezzano, James gets the power down so well and early. He just hits that little bit of a wall here at that one point where he starts to lose ground, and that's going to give Cooper an opportunity here. Cooper will pounce, looks out, then in, gets to the inside.
Nice move.
What
nice
a move.
I think Ian thought he was going to go to his left. It's hard to cover the complete width of the straightaway. Ian was trying to do it, but Michael just did the perfect blend across and flicks it to the inside and gets that position back.
You don't often get the opportunity to sell the dummy to Ian James and have him bite. That was great by Cooper. Now, though, we know James is quick through 1, and look at Nate. Stacy had a head of steam built up. Will James do what he did before, tuck it over and try and get to the outside flank? He's trying it. But Cooper had enough pace that time into and through 1, Cal, to fend him off, at least at this stage.
You could hear that loud blast of the throttle pedal from Nate Stacy as he's just chasing it hard. Picked up a little bit of understeer with the aero wash coming through turn 1, but he's tucking it in here. He's got a really good car. Credit to Core Motorsport in terms of giving him a good race car today under the guidance of Dean Martin. What does he have? Can he climb even further? But look at the gap up front. Spencer Pumpelly has taken off from this pack.
This is exactly what Spencer ordered. And Nate Stacy in that Grand Sanitation Forgeline Mustang. The story of this race for sure, coming from last, and no cautions to help him get here. He did it just on outright pace.
Let's see if he's got enough ponies up this straightaway to get by Ian James. Which way does he go? He goes to the inside as well. Ian James tries to protect.
And remember, the rule in terms of defense versus blocking is you can't react. Oh, Andretti wide coming through 9 as the white flag's going to come out this time, Cal.
Ian James should get a good run on those McLarens down this front straightaway. Cooper looks to the inside. Andretti's not going to give it to him. He is stubborn. He is aggressive.
Look at this by
James gets a run.
He almost laid back intentionally, it seemed. No, an off for Jason Bell here. Less than a minute to go. Final lap. Everything is on the line here. Is Ian James going to just, again, stuff it down the inside into 3?
I think Bell is off in Moss Corner, so there'll be a local yellow at least down there. Oh, Andretti's off the pace.
Oh, something amiss.
Andretti suddenly lose power momentarily. Now he's back up. I wonder if that was just an electronic issue. He had to reset something. Unbelievable drama here.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's back on it, it seems. So that promotes Cooper to second, James to third, Stacy to fourth, and then Andretti back at it again. Spencer Pumpelly, that last time by, his margin was 1.7. The breathing room he hasn't had at any other point in this race.
And Nate Stacy mount a challenge on Ian James for the final podium position here in the final couple of corners.
It's a battle of youth and exuberance versus experience and cunning, isn't it? Here we go. Pumpelly rounding the final turn, looking for his second win of the season, and he puts it together. Porsche and the Racers Group wins Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Cooper, a brilliant drive into second. James, a great drive to third. And Nate Stacy, the drive of the day, from dead last up into fourth with nary a caution to help. That was simply brilliant stuff from the young man. His first ever World Challenge win coming right here in a TCB Ford Fiesta when he was 16 years old.
He's got great memories, and he made another one here today.
Boy,
Spencer's
did he.
celebrating here, getting close to the crowd and get a little bit of tire pickup. Got to pass that post-race tech in terms of your ride height, minimum ride height. So all of the drivers play that game.
Yeah, what a run. And even with the problems for Andretti, he ends up 5th overall, but that's still a win in the AM category. And that was a brilliant drive he had for much of that race as well. So the field on their cool-down lap here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Wow, what a race. And I'm gonna be devil's advocate here, Cal. You don't think, do you, that Andretti, realizing what was happening behind him and all of that argy-bargy going on and the potential, just moved out of the way, said, yeah, I don't want any of this. I need those AM points. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
I'm not saying.
So.
I'm just saying.
Andretti.
Yeah, I know. That's my thought, too. But
yeah.
You know, you just have to wonder if Robin Pemberton on the wall's going, don't get yourself messed up in this, man. You've got the points win. I'm just, throwing that out there. And either way, it was an absolutely brilliant run by Andretti. But all right, Spencer, he's going to do some donuts, but has to eliminate the TC to make it happen, doesn't he? I think he may have just done the Olympic logo.
Or he's driving an Audi.
Oh, there you go. Well, same group, right? Wow, what a run by Spencer. I mean, one, executing what his plan was in a way, just doing it a lap or two later than he was thinking about it, making that work, then fending off immense pressure. And clearly at the end, he had just enough left in those tires when they started fighting each other to be able to ease away. Final margin of victory, 1.4 seconds. So, yeah, great story. Spencer Pumpelly brings the Racers Group, Adobe Road Wines, Pastime Porsche down into the victory circle area. There's Jarrett Andretti, and Andretti was the AM winner, and he's already out of the car, so let's get down to Ryan with our AM winner.
Yeah, we know he's got to get on the move here pretty quickly, Jarrett. Quickly, though, would you let us know what happened on that final lap where we saw you lose some speed?
Yeah, we had a minor problem in practice, and we thought we had it rectified, but it's obviously we had an issue here in practice or in the race. It happened the lap before. Thought I was running out of fuel, but I looked down, no fuel reading or anything like that, and I ran fine the rest of the race, but or fine the rest of the lap. So it was just unfortunate. We just I think we could have gotten Pumpelly there. you know, we had an opportunity. I went down an extra gear and I didn't mean to, and that kind of got us there. But in the end, I guess it wouldn't have mattered because we would have messed up in turn 5 anyway. So anyway, it was a good run in the endurance. 18, 7th to would have been 2nd. I don't know where we ended up, but it was a good run, and thanks to everybody, Andretti Autosport, everybody McLaren for making all this happen.
Yeah, still a class win. We know you need to hustle. Good luck with the rest of your month of May as well.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, when I was talking to him about this, and he said, just in case, he said, I want everybody to know I'm not going to be on the podium, and it's not because I'm one of those guys who just takes off here. And there was that moment.
That was close with Ian James. He was kind of blinded by the McLaren of Michael Cooper there and caught Jarrett right at the wrong time. Just cleared him. That would have been a big one.
Yeah, it's hugely unfortunate. And as you said, he's an Andretti. He didn't lay down. He was going after it. Thought he could get Pumpelly. As you take a look at the provisional results, and again, Andretti 5th overall, still good enough for the AM win. Drew Stavely, another podium in the AM category. He just keeps accruing points. It's impressive. And Tony Gaples once again. How about that? The racer. He's not the best qualifier in the world, he'll admit that, but man, he races hard, up into 3rd in the AM category. That's an impressive run, but you have to say, no more impressive run, maybe even this weekend, than the drive that Nate Stacy put on. Yeah, that was great. Saw him about an hour before the start. He said, I'm going to go to the front. He said, I'm going to go after the victory. He had big plans today, but nonetheless didn't quite make the podium, but still a tremendous run for him. All right, and let's get right back down to Ryan with our overall winner.
And that would be Spencer Pumpelly of the Racers Group. 2nd yesterday, 1 spot better today. How'd you do it?
This was a tough day. You know, it was a flag-to-flag win nearly, but I've never worked that hard for a flag-to-flag win before. I had a different guy in my mirror every lap, and anytime I make just the tiniest little bobble, Jarrett would be there, or I was racing with Ian. I was racing with a ton of different Gar, and man, I'm just excited. LaSalle Solutions, Steve Robb couldn't be here, and Kevin missed this one too. So guys back at home who support us, thanks so much. Everyone here did a long weekend. TRG did a fantastic job. And, you know, I didn't know if it could do donuts without a clutch pedal. I thought about it at Long Beach, but the concrete walls. So I figured I'd give it a shot, and sure enough, it can. So hats off to everyone here. Thanks.
Put on a show for us during and after the race. You talked about the level of competition that you faced, though. How strong is it in the pro class here?
I mean, again, I thought maybe if I could get clean and get away, I'd have a little gap, but it just never happened. I'll race till the very end. And I had Jarrett, you know, couldn't buy me a couple times, but unfortunately for him, it's a little dirty out there, and he couldn't make it stick, but he's definitely gave it a really good shot, and he races hard and clean, and so does everybody else here. So I'm just, that was a tough one today, but after a tough weekend at VIR, we'll take it.
Congratulations. We'll see you in Sonoma.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, 2nd win. He's had great speed this year, but hasn't necessarily had the results that you'd think might come with that, but they sure did today. But he's talking about that competition. I mean, Cooper, McLaren factory driver, Ian James, one of the most experienced and still quick drivers in the business, young driver like Nate Stacy, and then an AM like Andretti, proving just how quick he is. That was fabulous. It was fabulous, and it was a big weekend for Spencer Pumpelly. He didn't score any points at VIR. Yep. And he'll walk away here tonight with the championship lead once again. Yeah, that's huge, and after that tough weekend at VIR, boy, that'll rejuvenate the old blood cells and get you pumped up about getting going and getting after it. We've been talking about it. Next race for these guys, Sonoma Raceway, just north of the Bay in San Francisco. And man, another phenomenal racetrack. It is. We don't really have a dud on the calendar, Greg, so everyone is fun. It's always great to come here north of the border. This is immense. However, the racing here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park today, fabulous. Pumpelly on the pole, but once again, Nikolai Elganian getting a great launch and picking up the lead around the outside of turn 1 and able to maintain that lead for a while behind. We had this side-by-side action, and Andretti already making a big move right alongside of Brynjolfsson here, and here comes Pumpelly. Yeah, just had that straightaway speed over the crossbow, makes a move, as does Gar Robinson. But there were just battles all day long. Lots of dicing there at the sharp end of the field. Elganian fighting back, but not quite able to do anything. However, Ian James, brilliant move down to the inside here as Elganian had gone around Lewis around the outside. Lots of fabulous passes that were unfolding in this one, and in the back, that red Mustang and Nate Stacy continued to claw his way up. Then this little bit of a moment. Yeah, this was unfortunate, and looking at it again, I think Nikolai tried to brake a little bit harder in trying to get out of that situation, but it was too late. He turned Shane Lewis, but no penalty. And then up the inside goes the number 10 of Cooper, puts the pass on Ian James. That would become the pass for the 2nd spot in this, with James sitting in 3rd, Stacy there in 4th. And then, of course, the moment at the end of the race, Spencer came through after the little mechanical bobble, and some donuts from Spencer Pumpelly, second win of the season.
Yesterday, that was a early Saturday morning run here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park as the drivers prepare to roll out here. Thompson very, very dominant, but behind him we had some outstanding racing in the various CTCC classes. One update on the 84 car of Damon Sharp, the Tottenham, Ontario driver in the Toyota GT86. The Blancpain Motorsports entry was running up in the top 5 in his GT Sport class when he brought it on to pit road in race 1. And we suspected that there was some major mechanical problem with the Toyota. They had a second qualifying session. CTCC runs separate qualifying sessions for the 2 races. And in the qualifying session this morning, we did not see that number 84 Toyota of Damon Sharp. And this afternoon, he texted saying that he'll not be starting the second race here on the weekend. Unfortunately, they have retired the car with an irreparable engine issue. So some kind of major mechanical problem there in the motor, and we will not see that 84 car of Damon Sharp, who certainly had the pace where he had a shot at finishing on the GT Sport podium. But Parker Thompson totally dominating that race yesterday in his GT Sport Audi R8 LMS GT4 as he ran at one point, I believe, ended up finishing about 30 seconds ahead of the second place driver. Looking at where the battle should come here in the TCR